Welcome into the studio, Bald Eagle in Pastels. This is the reference photo. It's a nice tight crop in there. It's not a very large drawing, but you can see there's plenty of impact, drama. We've got lots of contrast and a lovely colourful imposing beak as well. Now I do what I suggest other people do as well. I pull out some colours that shows the main colours of the piece for us to get down generally. Okay, so there's maybe some surprises on there. You see blues in the shadows as well. That allows me then to get out my Panpastels or my pencils from my big sets so that I know where to start. And I've got lots and lots of videos online showing that. Okay, so I've done my pastel matte paper. I've transferred my image over just using transfer paper. Okay, so black graphite basically. The black you can see for the background, I've done that because if I put black pastel down at this early stage, it would smudge and end up on the beak. If I don't put some black pastel down or have the background black, then it's going to be difficult to judge the colors and tones of the beak and the bird. Okay, so I've used gouache paint. I use gouache because it dries completely matte and pastel will go over it perfectly. I put that on there, I just thinned it with a little bit of water, that's all, and then just roughly, as you can see, brushed it onto the pastel matte paper and dried it, and you can use a hairdryer to do that. I'm using Panpastels for the initial blocking in. They're nice and easy to use. Once again, I've got lots and lots of videos showing them. So I've just used an orange, a bit of a white in there, a yellowish color as well, just to, you know, easily block in. As you can see, it doesn't need to be extremely accurate. I'll be going over it with my pencils and other pastels as well to get it really accurate and a bit more detailed. But you can see it's a nice easy way to just blend colors, and I show on many of my videos how to mix and blend colors. I've got them specifically showing how I do that on some printer paper, and you can see I just use a bit of scrap pastel matte to put my colors on and then match them up to the reference photo. So once again, that's showing that we put in on the correct colors and tones even at the really early stages. Okay, so don't just jump ahead and go with guesswork unless you're quite experienced with it. Now these soft tools, like little knives they call them, they're like small applicators. Don't expect the ends to last long at all. Pastel matte paper is not extremely abrasive, but it still rips these little tools apart on the end. Okay, you can see I just added a bit of white to my mix there, just lightened up that color. You can see I'm not, as I said, I'm not going extremely accurate. Remember as well, as you can see, the angle of my paper, the camera is shooting from the left across, so that's where we get a bit of a distortion on the angle. But don't worry about that. Don't worry thinking that I'm putting everything in the wrong place or my drawing's not accurate. It's just the angle that you're seeing on the camera. So all I'm doing is just mixing up a bit of color, getting the tonal value more accurate than being concerned about the color being spot on. So the tonal value, the lights and darks, and you can see that Panpastels are not completely opaque. So even when I'm going over on the beak on areas, you can still just about see my drawing, so we still know the shape and position of various elements, and that's handy when I start putting the darker areas on the beak underneath. It's still allowing me to be able to use my initial drawing and the line work. So this is all real-time speed. So you see that the pans are quicker than the pencils. For initial blocking in, you don't need to use pans. You could use all pencils on this if you wanted to, or you could use soft pastels, so pastel sticks. If you're using pastel sticks, just make sure you're applying, you know, carefully. Don't go putting lots and lots of pastel down, because if you do, you fill that tooth of the paper up, especially with the really soft pastel sticks like Sennelier and Unison. If you fill the tooth of the paper up, you won't get the details on top. Now people ask me, well, how do you know if I put enough Panpastel down? As long as the colour looks similar to mine, you haven't got to really worry about it. Just use as little as you need to get it to look correct. Okay, so don't overly saturate the paper with it. You see I'm matching up colours all the time on my pieces of spare paper. So take the time with the initial blocking in, and when I get it fairly accurate, that's when I start to apply it. If I'd needed to lighten it, I could have lightened it with a lighter very pale green or white, and then I would have checked it again. It's no good doing these checks by putting the test pieces onto, say, printer paper, which is what I'm using to mix, because that printer paper is white and it would then look different when we're putting it on this pastel mat. So make sure you've got little thin strips of offcuts if you want to do it the way I'm doing it, to test your colours and your tones out on. Now obviously I'm going to be going lighter on top with my details, so I'm taking that into consideration, and I'll just carry on now this blocking in process. Now when I'm working on smaller areas, so I need more detail, that's when the pencils are ideal. I wouldn't want to be using Panpastels to try to do something like this. Okay, so use the correct tool for the job. When we want detail, we want our pencils. When we want a large area of colour put in straight away and quickly, we're using the Panpastels or soft pastels. As I said, you could use your pencils. I've done whole drawings just to show that you can use pencils for all of it, but the pans and the soft pastels would be quicker. Now it's really easy to use your pencils on this side and glaze colours on top. So go very lightly, and you can see you can tint the colour. So the Panpastels or soft pastels, whatever you've done with the initial layer, that's there as our main blocking in. So it's got the general colour, but when we want to make final adjustments or fine tuning, that's when we can just glaze on top with a pencil. So I'm not using it to create a hard edge. I'm using it just to add a colour on top, so just to tint the colour. Now I'm using a dark burgundy or rich brown colour. You see sharpish pencil as well. That's getting those shapes in. So that's separating then the top beak from the bottom beak. You see in darkish brown here. Now I haven't reached for black. Always question what colour you're seeing before you start reaching for pure black or pure white. It's not that as often as you think you'll see them actually on the animal. Okay, so I'm not against using black at all, I'm not against using white at all, like some artists are. There's a place for them, but question it first. You shouldn't be using it all the time. Now we've got lots of these little marks on the beak as well. It's basically the beak peeling a bit, so the very surface edge or surface on some parts of the beak is peeling back. Okay, so that's creating a bit of a texture. So now I'm using the pencil not in a glazing manner, but rather to put the small little marks and bits of texture on top. And I'm starting with this kind of a very pale acidy green. Okay, so very pale green, and then I'll come and put some actual white on top of this as well, just to really get that rough looking peeled beak texture. And now you can see with the white going on top, it's really starting to stand out and becoming quite a focal part of the beak. Okay, and I'll come back later on, I'll refine all this again, especially when I've got that background in and I'm putting on the finishing touches. Twisting my pencil to deposit some more pastel, turning it every now and again. As I stop, you'll see me rotate the pencil, that's keeping that nice sharp edge on the end. And still plenty of refinement of the colours to come as well. If you're struggling to draw animals or to improve your art, I can share with you the techniques I've learned over 25 years so you can avoid frustration and trial and error and start to enjoy drawing and creating straight away. Hi, my name is Jason Morgan. I'm a professional artist and I would love to be your guide on your unique art journey. I've fallen in love with pastels and I'm sure you will too. There's really no other medium that has the vibrancy and colour intensity and the ability to put light over dark. That's an absolute game changer for the animal artist. Now on my channel you get immediate access to hundreds of hours of lessons and demonstrations, and you go completely at your own pace. There's absolutely no rushing in my art channel and lessons. Think of it like a video library. You pick the video you like, something that really takes your fancy, and you take as long as you want to complete it. Or alternatively, you can watch my videos, learn the techniques and apply them to the subjects that really inspire you. And you also get new reference photos each month. They're copyright free. You can use them in your art, sell your art, no worries whatsoever. Many of my artists came to me with little to no art ability whatsoever, and they're truly amazed with what they're now creating. You could be doing that as well. Now, don't think age is a problem. You're really never too old to start learning and enjoying art, and many of my students are 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 years of age. Now, my channel is about much more than lessons and techniques. You also get access to my secret private Facebook group, and that's full of members that's literally grown up with my channel. They're super supportive and kind. They come from all over the world. So if you've got any questions, you can rest assured there's going to be someone there really quick with a solution to your problems. Now, with my channel, you're not tied into any contract. You can literally come and go as you please. You can go up tiers, you can go down tiers, whatever you want. And there's a tier and a price to suit literally any pocket. Now, I've been doing art lessons for many, many years, and I really pride myself on trying to create the absolute best lessons and demonstrations I possibly can. I really hope to see you there soon so you can start your art journey, and I can't wait to see what you can achieve.